What's going on, traders? Zach here from the Trading Network. I hope you guys are doing well and that you're ready for another great week ahead in the markets. I have yet another weekly market profile forecast for you guys for both the ES and NQ futures markets. So let's waste no time. We're going to start off with the session profiles as usual. Talk about the most immediate levels that I'll be interested in and paying attention to upon open tomorrow and throughout the overnight session. And we'll see what kind of high probability trade opportunity we will be able to gather from these levels moving forward into the week. So first and foremost, what I am most concerned with and what I'm looking at most immediately is going to be where we currently are in relation to Friday's high and low. Now you can see that Friday's high is up here at 12,423, Friday's low down here at 12,265, and we are kind of just operating smack dab in the middle of Friday's profile, close to the overnight low from Thursday into Friday at 12,338. So most immediate levels that we have are going to be our overnight point of control at 383, our value area high from Friday at 389, and of course this overnight low that I just mentioned here at 338, and then we've got our point of control from Friday at 314, and right around 12.3k even we have our value area low and our initial balance low from Friday as well. So what I'm going to be looking for when it comes to structure is going to be the reaction to Friday's value. Can we move and hold above value area high from Friday up here at basically call it 12,390-ish, and if so, then we're very likely to get a test of Friday's high at 12,423, and then subsequently very likely to see a move up to this 12,450-ish area, where we have Thursday's low lining up very, very nicely with the overnight high from Thursday into Friday. So that is going to be most immediate what I'm looking for on the upside. And to the downside, I will be looking for reaction to this overnight low and then these lower levels here. So when the market opens tomorrow, it's going to be interesting to see where we end up or where we are upon open. If we can move and hold above Friday's value area high, I will look for further upside pressure, especially into this level. And if we move and hold above 450-ish, I'll be looking for a move into the 12.5k zone and very likely into this area here where you can see we have some stacked up market profile levels. We have the 17th, that's the overnight low from the 15th into 16th. We have the regular trading hours low from the 15th at 524, and then we have the overnight low from the 14th into the 15th at 531. So those are going to be most immediate upside levels if we do get acceptance above Friday's value area high and move above Friday's high. Now, if we cannot get accepted above Friday's value area high and we get rejected, I will look for a move down to 338. 314, 12.3k, and then if we break this zone, especially right around 12.3k, very, very likely that we get a test of Friday's low, and then we will see some levels lower on the weekly profile, which I will discuss shortly here. Now, with that said, I'll go ahead and move on over to the NQ weekly profile, as I want to point out these naked POCs that we have on the weekly to the downside, and we have some great confluence with our last two weekly lows. You can see the week of February 6th, the weekly low is 12,243, and last week's low was 12,265, which we were just looking at on the session profile. So if we do break these weekly lows, if we break last week's low at 265, very, very likely to get a test of the prior week low at 240. And then if we break that, I'm thinking that it's very likely that we get further downside pressure into this naked POC here at 12,125. Now, if we break 125 to the downside, most important level that I'll be looking at after that is the weekly low from the week of January 30th, which also lines up with the value area low from that same week at 11,960. So there's some good confluence there. And then we have our next naked POC to the downside at 11,914. So this is what I will indeed be looking at if we do get some, pretty fierce pressure to the downside. But of course, that's about 400 points away. So we have quite a bit of work to do on the downside to get anywhere near these levels. So just want to plant that seed and let you guys know to be looking out for that. Now, on a weekly perspective to the upside, we've got some nice confluence on the upside as well. You can see our last two weekly value area lows are lining up within about 15 points of each other. Last week's value area low was at 12,420 right here. And then the prior week's value area low is at 12,433, right? So acceptance back inside or above value area high from last Friday at 389 is very, very likely going to get us a test of these weekly value area lows. Currently, we are operating below value low from both the last weekly sessions, and that is bearish, generally speaking, right? If we're operating below value, that is not showing that larger time frame players are seeing the value area as a cheap price or a fair price to buy. Now, with that said, below value is typically an area that is considered cheap, and that is where you likely will see larger time frame players putting in bids and buying up price. So the reaction to where we are now is going to be very telling. If we get further downside, that is basically the market's way of telling us that the other time frame players, the higher time frame players, are still not interested in buying up at these higher price levels. And I will be looking at, these weekly lows, these stacking weekly lows for reaction if, we do see further downside. So once again, if these stacked up weekly lows break, look for a move into 12,125 right here. This is the naked POC from the week of January 30th. If we do get acceptance, if we can move and hold above Friday's value high, look for a move up to 12,420, 12,433. And then we've got the naked POCs from the last 2 weeks, as well as the monthly volume composite POC right here. Everything is lining up beautifully, right? So you can see this is the monthly volume composite POC. This is last week's point of control, 12,540, and the prior week at 543. So that is amazing confluence right there. We have 2 weekly point of controls within 5 points of each other, and then we have the monthly volume point of control right there as well, right smack dab in the middle of those 2 levels. So that 12,540 area is going to be a very important line in the sand on a macro scale. If we can move and hold above 12,540, then we are very likely to see some further upwards pressure back into last week's value area high at 12,690. Very likely that we get, if we get acceptance above 12,690, that we test the week of January 30th value area high at 12,715. And then we've got, not last week, but the week of February 6th, that value area high at 763. And you can see that 763 lining up very, very nicely with last week's high at 756, excuse me. And that is just some more great confluence and levels that you can keep an eye on and use as targets and or areas to take trades off of one way or another if we do get up there. And that goes for any of these levels. I know that it's probably clear from you guys watching these videos over and over again, but for those of you guys who are new to the weekly profile forecast, make sure that you're marking these levels up, both the session levels and the weekly profile levels, and watch what happens there, especially if you have access to the proprietary indicator package that we offer on our website. The combination of using our proprietary indicator package with these market profile levels is about as close as it gets to a cheat code. Now, of course, you're going to need to exercise discipline. You're going to need to practice these setups and looking for these patterns. But once you gain confidence in our technical patterns in combination with utilizing market profile analysis and market profile levels in general, you are going to be deadly in the markets as long as you can exercise that self-control. So without going on a trading psychology tangent, let's pop on over to the ES session profile and discuss some very similar areas and scenarios that I will be looking at moving forward into the week for ES. So you can see here, similar vibe. We're a little bit closer to the value area high from Friday on ES at 4,080. So that's really going to be my most important level. You can see that we're also very close to the overnight POC at 40.75 from the 16th into the 17th overnight session. That's Thursday into Friday overnight session. So, you could consider that an important level as well. But because the market just opened and there's really nobody trading at this time, where we are right now doesn't really matter a whole lot in comparison to how much it's going to matter where we open up tomorrow morning and the kind of reaction that we get to these levels tomorrow morning. So when I'm making these videos, when I'm discussing this analysis, it's important to, even if you guys are, trading the overnight session, if you guys are in Europe or wherever you might be in the world, understand that, the bulk of the business goes down in New York session. So that is where you're going to get the most volume. That's where you're going to have the levels hold the most weight when it comes to these regular trading hour sessions profiles. So with that said, acceptance above the value area high from Friday above 40.80 very likely gets us a test of Friday's high at 40.90 and then a test of 40.94 where just like on NQ, we have some very nice confluence. We have the Thursday's low lining up with the Thursday into Friday overnight high within 1 point of each other. So that's going to be a very important line in the sand. If we get acceptance back above here, look for a move to 4105, 4112, which is back into value from Thursday. You can see we've got more excellent confluence between the value area low from Thursday at 4112 and Wednesday's regular trading hours low at 4113. So break back into this area, in my opinion, very, very likely gets us a move up to this 4135 naked POC from Thursday. Thursday it is. Yes. So that is 2/16, February 16th, regular trading hours POC, 4135. And that will be my most immediate wider target to the upside, of course, since we're, about 70 points away from that as it stands. So on the downside, if we get rejected and we can't get acceptance above value from Friday, look for, you can utilize this overnight POC here at 4075. Very likely going to be able to take some trade opportunity if we see price move to that area upon the regular trading hour session tomorrow. Next level to the downside I'll be looking at is 4068.25. That is the POC from Friday. And if we break the POC from Friday, that's very likely going to offer up a nice little move down to the overnight low from Thursday into Friday at 4063. So as a real world example, you guys could look for, potential move below 4068, then a retest and a rejection of 4068, maybe with some bearish divergence, with some good oscillator structure, things of that nature. And if you do get that signature, look for, 4063 and a quarter to be a nice target. And perhaps there will be a long opportunity offered up at 4063 for a bounce, or we could slice right through that level like a hot knife in butter and move down to Friday's value area low at 4058.25. So that's just a quick example of how you guys can truly use these levels in the, live trading hours. This is not theoretical stuff that I'm discussing here. Sure, we always have the opportunity to discuss what might happen when, price gets to any given level. But if you simply just plot these levels, boom, 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 just like that, and watch them, even if you don't do anything, even if you absolutely don't take a single trade off any of these levels tomorrow, especially if you're new, mark off these levels and watch the reaction. First of all, you're welcome. Second of all, it's like magic. It's a beautiful thing to watch. So with all of that said, let's head on over to the ES Weekly profile, and we will discuss, again, very, very similar signatures that we were discussing on NQ, starting first and foremost with this naked POC that we have to the downside at 4028. Rejection of last week's value area low at 4085 very likely gets us a move and a test down to 4069, which is the low from the week of February 6th. And a break below that very likely gets us about 15 points lower to test last week's low. Now, if last week's low at 40.55 breaks to the downside, look for that move to 40.28.25, which is the POC from the January 23rd weekly profile. And that's also lining up very nice with the value area low and the range low from the week of January 30th. So there is amazing confluence, I must say, unfortunately for the bulls. A lot of good confluence with these stacked up market profile levels here. So you can see 40.28 and a quarter. That's the POC from the week of the 23rd, January 23rd, that is. 40.29 and a half, that is the value area low and range low from January 30th weekly profile. So that is amazing confluence. We have multiple levels, multiple weekly levels stacked up there. And I would say, even if price moves down, taps this weekly POC, and then moves up, that is, a good change in behavior because we are using areas that were prior resistance as support. Now, this is a hypothetical situation, a little mental masturbation, if you will. Shout out to Crown. But, that's a very, very possible scenario and something that I will be keeping an eye out for and considering. So for the upside, I will be looking at, once again, very, very similar scenario. If we can get acceptance above value area low back into value from the last couple of weeks, very likely to get a bigger move. You can see that we have a high volume node right around 4112. That is lining up with the weekly high from January 23rd, right around 4109. So that's some good confluence there. I would look for a move up to that area first and foremost. Then very likely a move to 4119. That is the POC from February 6th weekly profile. And a move above 4119 very likely gets us up to last week's POC, which has great confluence with the prior week's value area high at 41.39. So I'll zoom in here, show you guys what I'm looking at, clear this up. So here's last week's POC, 41.35. And a move above 41.19 very likely gets us a move to 41.35. And then, of course, acceptance above 41.35 very likely gets us back above value from the week of February 6th, because the value area high from that week is at 41.39. So it's kind of like dominoes, right? And that's why I always use that term, because it truly is like, if this level gets knocked down, we're very likely moving here. If this level gets knocked down, we're very likely moving to last week's value area high at 41.5575. And then we have the value area high from the week of January 30th, just a handful of points above that at 41.5950. And you can see that we could even really draw, especially since this is a weekly profile, we could draw a nice little zone there. And you can do this very same thing with this zone right here between 41.35 and 41.39. So you could consider these important zones to keep an eye on, right? You guys see the pattern here. When you have multiple market profile levels stacking up, draw it as a zone. That's an important area of liquidity, and it's not going to be a perfect science. It's not like price is going to come to that level to the tick. It could, it's possible, but generally speaking, you know, price has to breathe a little bit in these major areas of liquidity. So I would say that this is a valid zone, right? You could draw one between 40.79 and 40.85, or you could take it up a notch and draw it between 40.85 and 40.88, which is a little bit closer. But, you know, I think that there is a case for just including this level in this zone and calling this a major zone as well. So if we move and hold above this zone, very likely we tap the weekly high from the 23rd, then move into the POC from the week of the 6th, and then move into this zone up here, right? So there is a method to this madness, that is for sure. It's important to, you know, not think too hard about how you're using these levels, especially if you're new to the profile. If you're a little bit more advanced, obviously, you know, you can mark up some more of these levels and watch for a little bit more nuance when it comes to the combination of the market profile levels and our technical tools. But if you're new to the profile, simply, once again, just mark off these levels, mark off the highs and lows of the week, mark off the value area highs and lows to any given week, mark off the POCs, right? And you've got, you know, even if you're trading more of a macro time frame, you've got a lot of levels to work with, as long as you can exercise that patience that we all must utilize on a daily basis. So with that said, that is really the gist of the analysis and what I will be looking at moving forward into the beginning of this week. We have a half day tomorrow, Monday, so it's important to keep in mind that there's not going to be a lot of people trading tomorrow. So it is, I'll put it like this: do yourself a favor and don't trade tomorrow and wait for Tuesday, because there's going to be very, very minimal liquidity. And with minimal liquidity, especially using a system like we do, which requires, you know, volatility and momentum, there's not going to be as much edge. Your edge is going to be diminished. So, you know, with that in mind, it's also my birthday, so I'm taking the day off either way. But it's important to understand what these things, or how these things relate. So when you have a bank holiday and you have the market closing early, not a lot of people are going to be trading. The large players that are responsible for a lot of the volatility and the movement in the market are not going to be participating. So you should take note from that and highly consider doing the same thing, which is exactly what I'll be doing. So I'll probably pop into the live stream for a little bit. I'll hang out with some of the crew and just, you know, talk a little bit, but no trades for me. And I would suggest that you guys do the same. You know, watch, journal, trade playback, back test, do anything but involve yourself in a market where there is a significantly diminished edge. All right, so before I wrap up here, I want to show you guys this real quick. Just talk about the weekly candlestick chart and the fact that we have unconfirmed bearish divergence here. Now, we got pretty close to confirming that bear div last week, but we actually did not even test below the low, which is not a bad sign. So with that said, if we get a weekly close this week below 12,265, then we will indeed confirm a close below the low of this prior weekly bar, which will at the same time confirm bearish divergence on the weekly, and likely another rejection of the weekly opportunity zone. Now, with that said, if that happens, hope is not lost for the bulls. Basically, unless we violate this low all the way down here around 11,000, we are still holding a change in structure to the upside. So just wanted to point that out to you guys. I want to show you guys what ES is looking like comparatively as well. so you can have the best idea going forward. I don't say this to, get you guys biased in one direction or the other, because we technically did not confirm a bearish divergence on the weekly because we did not get the candle closure that we need. So I think there's also a case that a lot of shorts, are trapped in this area, and upwards pressure this week is likely going to stop those shorts out and get some further upside pressure with that liquidity being run. So just want to point that out to you guys quickly. We have impending bearish divergence on the weekly, but I think that that's probably something that a lot of people are going to be paying attention to. And as we know, when the herd focuses all on one thing, they are usually wrong. So even if we do get a little bit of downside pressure, I would be leaning towards still these stops continuing to be run, above this zone here, and a test of, let's see, what area is this? Like 43.20-ish, right? So if we do, especially, close a weekly bar above 41.75-ish, that's last week's high, very likely that we see continued upside pressure into the 4,300 area. So just keep that in mind. Don't get married to either side, of course, but I think that's important analysis that I wanted to include in this video. So I hope that you guys find value in it. So with that said, I want to thank you guys very much for taking the time to watch this content. If you do find value in this content that I create, please feel free to like, subscribe, and click that bell notification to be notified every single time that we post videos here on the channel. And if you guys want to learn more about what we do here at the Trading Network, check out thetradingnetwork.io, where you can learn more about our private community, our daily live streams, our indicator package, our strategies, and our one-on-one mentorship. You can also purchase access to our most popular offering called the Pro Trader Bundle, which includes lifetime Discord access, access to the Fundamentals of Futures Trading course, as well as our proprietary indicator package. You can purchase all of those products standalone on our website, as well as one-on-one mentorship with me. And if you have any questions about anything that I've discussed here in this video, feel free to drop them down in the comments below or shoot us an email at info@thetradingnetwork.io, and we will get back to you guys as soon as possible and help any way that we possibly can. Thank you guys once more. I greatly appreciate your time, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Cheers.